Hi everyone. Welcome to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. All the details are in our video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share before we dive in. Thank you so much for being here tonight, because what unfolded in Istanbul has the entire entertainment world buzzing with the sweetest whispers. The beloved star Hazal, with her luminous smile and unmistakable elegance, stepped into an intimate gathering and unknowingly ignited a tidal wave of speculation before confirming what many had only dared to hope. And yes, those whispers weren't just rumors. By the end of the night, they bloomed into the happiest news, revealed quietly, tenderly, and in that very Hazal way that makes her fans feel they are part of her inner circle. This wasn't a red carpet premiere or a loud press conference. It was a private event, carefully curated, where the lights were warm, the playlist nostalgic, and the crowd hand-picked from Istanbul's art, fashion, and media scenes. The atmosphere was soft and elegant, like a cherished secret waiting to be told. Hazal chose a look that spoke of comfort wrapped in grace. A flowing, body-skimming dress with a delicate drape, paired with understated accessories that caught the light and framed her glow. You know that glow. The kind that has nothing to do with makeup and everything to do with joy. From the moment she arrived, eyes followed her, not because she demanded attention, but because she radiated serenity. Close friends noticed the small things first. The way she held her glass of sparkling water with a twist of pomegranate instead of her usual celebratory drink, the way she landed her laughs softly and kept to a quieter corner where conversation could roll without interruption. And then there was the presence that made the room exhale, Kagate Yolasoy, as effortlessly composed as ever, hovering with that subtle protective energy that says everything while saying nothing. Together they moved through the evening like a picture you want to keep replaying. He offered her a seat before she asked. She touched his arm when the music swelled just a bit too loud. He leaned in when she spoke, listening the way only someone who knows your unspoken words can listen. They shared smiles that seemed to say, soon. Not yet. But soon. And while those around them may not have had the full story at first, there's a language to love that even the most private couples can't conceal. The whispers began in earnest when Hazal turned down champagne more than once, laughing it off with a sparkle in her eye and the kind of knowing nod that fueled the room's guessing game. She wasn't hiding, she was savoring. Fans have always admired her poise and authenticity, and that night, both felt dialed all the way up. Throughout the evening, she focused on long conversations and slow moments, greeting old friends, catching up with colleagues, and occasionally slipping into hushed corners with Kagate, where his hand rested at the small of her back, steady and gentle. Was it a protective gesture? A tender signal? Perhaps both. And then, as though the music and the murmurs were cueing her toward the truth, Hazal made her way into a small circle of close friends. Those who have celebrated her triumphs and guarded her secrets. It was there, in that shared warmth, that she chose to speak. Eyewitnesses swear you could hear the intake of breath, that soft sound we make when life reveals a new chapter. She didn't make a speech. She didn't need to. With a smile that shone brighter than the chandeliers and a voice almost trembling with happiness, she let her closest circle in on the secret she had been holding close to her heart. The news was met not with noise, but with emotion, tears glistening, hands clasping, laughter breaking through in waves. And then applause, the kind that melts quickly into hugs. As for Kagate, his reaction was a scene on its own. Those nearby say his eyes never left her, that he lifted his glass of sparkling water and clinked it against hers with a quiet, private cheer as if they were toasting in a language only they knew. He tilted his head, whispered something that made her laugh, and pulled her into a brief embrace that said more than any headline could capture. The two of them, partners in life's most delicate balancing act, stood together as the congratulations continued, as the room softened around them, as the love in that corner of Istanbul turned into a glow that no camera flash could replicate. It didn't take long for the whispers to burst out of the room and run along the streets of the city, across feeds and stories and trending lists. Someone snapped a photo, nothing intrusive, just Hazal stepping out, still smiling, her hand tucked into the crook of Kagate's arm as they made their way toward a waiting car. Even in that fleeting moment, the calm was unmistakable. She waved, and if you looked closely, you might have seen the way he angled himself ever so slightly, creating a quiet shield as the lights popped and voices called her name. It was tender. It was intentional. It was them. By the time the clock kissed midnight, social media was a river of joy. Comments poured in from fans who have followed their journeys separately and together, people who grew up watching their on-screen chemistry and carried a torch for their off-screen friendship. It suits her beautifully. Her glow makes perfect sense now. We knew, but we didn't want to guess. Trending topics bloomed with their names, and the industry began doing what it does best, reaching out with warm wishes, affectionate messages, and stories of how gracious and grounded Hazal has remained amid decades of dazzling attention. There were sweet notes about how steady and quietly devoted Kagate has always been, the friend turned confidant turned anchor in a life that often swirls with noise. Insiders whisper that Hazal has known for a while and chose to cocoon in peace before sharing. She's been selective with scripts, closing her laptop a little earlier at night, starting her mornings with soft sunlight and gentle stretches. She's still reading, still meeting with directors, still letting creativity run through her fingertips, but she's doing it with a new sense of timing that speaks to wisdom and care. Friends say she is laughing more, sleeping better, and saying no when no is the healthiest answer. And when she says yes, it's because it sparks joy, not because it fills a calendar. What about the career? The question floats over every beloved star who enters a new chapter. And the answer, for Hazal, looks beautifully balanced. She isn't vanishing, she's curating. Projects that honor where she is now, characters that embrace depth without demanding every hour, a work rhythm that respects her health. From what we hear, she isn't putting a hard stop on anything, but the compass is set differently. Quality over quantity. Meaning over momentum. She has always been intentional, now that intention carries a gentler, more luminous urgency. As for him, because how can we not talk about him? Those who know the couple say that Kagate is exactly as steady behind the scenes as he appears in front of cameras. The quiet check-ins, the easy humor when she needs a lift, the practical details people don't think about. He's the one double-checking the car is ready, that the route out of the venue is uncluttered, that the music doesn't sit too close to the speakers where the bass could rattle the evening. Simple things. Loving things. The kind you don't often see because they're meant to be felt. The venue itself, a favorite haunt among creatives, with its ivy-kissed courtyard and candlelit corners, will be remembered for more than its ambience tonight. Guests left with soft smiles, as if they'd been allowed to witness something both ordinary and miraculous. In an industry that often packages intimacy for public consumption, Hazal and Kagate chose a different route. A whisper before a shout, a circle before a crowd, a moment before a statement. It's exactly what makes them unique, and exactly why fans feel fiercely protective of them. We've heard that an official announcement might soon arrive, perhaps a heartfelt post, perhaps a brief interview where she speaks calmly and clearly, the way she always does when it truly matters. Until then, the night stands as its own confirmation. There's a confidence in the quiet, and last night, it spoke in 1,000 little ways. A sparkling water instead of champagne. A hand on a shoulder. A look that lingers. An exit made gently rather than grandly. And above it all, a joy that filled the spaces between words. Colleagues who crossed paths with them at the event describe a couple in harmony. Even the practical choices told a story. Comfortable heels instead of sky-high stilettos, a wrap for the cool air on the terrace, a car waiting with soft interior lights and a familiar driver who greeted them like family. There were no dramatics, no grandstanding, just an evening built around people who care and a secret that finally decided it was ready to be named. In the days leading up to the party, there had been a soft hum of rumor in certain circles. Whispers that she'd been turning down late-night calls, that she'd chosen afternoon meetings over dinners, that her appetite had shifted to the comforting and the simple. Those close to her smile at that, because anyone who knows Hazal knows how intentional she is with her energy. This season is no different, only more tender. It's a season of care. And if the camera flashes caught little more than a smile, that's because the night didn't need spectacle. It had something better: truth. The kind that doesn't shout, doesn't need a grand reveal. The kind that steps into a room and changes the temperature, the way a breeze can turn an ordinary evening into a memory. The kind that makes everyone present suddenly remember the songs of their own lives and the moments that made them feel alive. What happens next? For now, we expect time measured in small joys. Morning light across a kitchen table, reading scripts with a blanket draped over knees, shared notes scrawled on margins, a phone chiming with one more loving message from a friend who can't stop smiling. We picture them in that familiar dance between public and private, stepping lightly, holding hands just out of frame, protecting what is theirs while giving fans enough to celebrate. And we picture the city itself carrying their news across the Bosphorus, across bridges lit like constellations, across living rooms where fans still believe in the magic of two people finding their rhythm together. If you were wondering how the industry is reacting, let's just say the calls and messages haven't stopped. It's rare for an announcement to feel this intimate and still resonate so widely. But then again, this is Hazal. Beloved for the way she brings characters to life, beloved for the way she remains grounded when the world leans in too close. And this is Kagate, the steady counterpoint, the one who mirrors the mood without overshadowing it, who understands the music of a moment and knows when to let the notes breathe. Last night, as the final songs played and the candles burned lower, there was a pause in the room, the kind that happens when everyone knows they've witnessed the beginning of something. A door opened, and fresh air poured in. They stepped out together, and the city felt new for a heartbeat. Not because the skyline had shifted or the streets had changed, but because two people had chosen to walk forward with quiet certainty. They got into the car, and in that second before the door closed, Hazal glanced back with that unmistakable smile, the one that melts screens and softens edges. And then they were gone, the tires whispering over the stones, the night folding itself into a secret again. This is the story the city will tell tomorrow, and the next day, and the next, that in a world of noise, two stars chose the volume that felt true. That in a time of headlines, they chose heartlines. That even when the spotlight found them, they stood side by side in its warmth rather than flinching away. And that is why this news doesn't just trend, it lingers. It rests in the collective memory of fans who will remember where they were when they first heard, who they texted, how they smiled into their screens. We'll be here watching, celebrating from the respectful distance that love deserves. We'll be here when the official words arrive, when the photos appear, when the projects are announced with timelines that make sense. We'll be here for the sweet milestones and the quiet updates, for the click of a clapperboard and the hush of a nursery rhyme, for public steps and private victories. Because stories like this aren't just about fame. They're about tenderness. They're about choice. So yes, the entertainment world is following this new chapter closely. But more importantly, the people who love them, really love them, are breathing a little easier, smiling a little wider, and hoping a little harder. For balance. For health. For the gentle unfolding of a season that suits them beautifully. And for the joy that, for one unforgettable night in Istanbul, spilled softly over the edges of a room and into the hearts of everyone lucky enough to be listening. This brings us to the end of our video. If you enjoyed our story, please subscribe to Turkish Spotlight Secrets and share it with friends who still believe in the quieter miracles. Until the next chapter, good night from Istanbul. And from all of us at Turkish Spotlight Secrets, congratulations to Hazal Kaya and Kagate Yulasoy on a moment that already feels timeless.